Riverside.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Animal Warrior Radio Voices Carry for Animals number 534. And I want to welcome everyone aboard and hope you enjoy the show. And everyone is coming into the public chat room and studio that I want everyone to know that we're having a great guest this evening, and we're going to keep going. Okay, and I'm going to be bringing her on, and I just want to go over a couple things before I do get started here. And anyway, my name's Debbie Dahmer, aka Mama Bear, and Mama Bear is on the air because she does care. But I want to bring in Nikki Sharp on. She's the I can't even speak this evening. Executive Director for Wildlife SOS, and I'm going to welcome her aboard. Nikki, are you there? You're live and on the air.
Yes, Debbie, I'm here. Thank you so much for having me as a guest on your show. I've really been looking forward to this.
And I've been looking forward to having you also. This is wonderful. Yes. So we want to keep going and helping the animals out. And you want to go ahead and tell the audience a little bit about yourself?
Sure.
You got started.
Sure. So my name is Nikki, and I work for Wildlife SOS as the Executive Director. Now, for those of you who want to know a little bit about Wildlife SOS, it's an organization that works in India to help wildlife, but a lot of what we do also involves helping animals that are being exploited in captivity, and wild animals that are being exploited. So I got involved with helping animals in India about 20 years ago. I had an opportunity to meet the founders of the organization when they were visiting the United States. And it was this opportunity to meet them over dinner that I heard this remarkable story that they had about their efforts to bring an end to dancing bears in India. And at the end of that story, I found myself asking a question, which was, what can I do to help? And for everybody out there who has asked that question, it's a question that can change your life.
Yes, I guess so. I'm going to go ahead and tell the audience because I'm here's some echoing within myself, so I'm going to try to fix that. I got to turn into technical support here, okay? Go right ahead with either your websites or because we'll be having another great show this evening.
Okay, so the website, there's two websites that your listeners should know about. One is directly the organization that I work for, which is wildlifesos.org. The other website is refusetoride.org. And that website is really just focused on educating people about why they should not ride elephants. So a lot of people who say they love elephants, they often follow it up with, someday I hope to ride an elephant. And this website hopefully provides the information so that people understand why riding an elephant is actually quite cruel, and it is something that should be avoided.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's sad how they get rode because that they don't have no choice in the matter.
Well, you're absolutely right. And elephants in India, if you see elephants that are being used for riding or for entertainment, almost all of those elephants have come from the wild. So they've been trapped in the wild, and then they go through a process that's called phajaan. And really that word basically translates to meaning breaking the spirit. So if you can imagine what it takes to take an animal that can weigh up to 10,000 pounds and break their spirit so that they're afraid of a human that is usually about 150 to 200 pounds, you can imagine the amount of suffering that that animal goes through. So that is one of the things we do try to educate people about when they are coming to our website, just about the process of what it does to an animal to take them from the wild and turn them into an animal that someone can ride.
Yeah, I mean, what's going on here? It's so heartbreaking to see these elephants go through this. They're not living out in the wild, you know.
Right, right. And I think that's what, once people understand what they're going through, then usually I would say they make the decision to not ride elephants. And they make more of the ethical decision, which is really, we understand that people want to have an experience if they're in India, that they see elephants. But we encourage people, if you're planning your trip to India, when you go there, go see wild elephants, because there's so many wonderful places that you can visit in India where you can have that sighting of a wild elephant.
Right. I mean, within the zoos and circuses and everything, and all this, where they're being used at, it's basically profit before animals.
Yes,
Greed going on.
yes, yes, yes. But one thing I'd have to say that's really remarkable about India is there's a lot that we're trying to campaign against to help captive elephants, but the country itself has taken action to ban utilizing elephants in circuses, and not just elephants, but all wild animals. So if you go to a circus in India, you will not see acts that involve elephants or tigers or really any other wild animals. So that is something that's different in India that we have yet to do in the United States.
That's right. We got to just get with the times. You know, that's what it matters because we keep, got to stop these animals from suffering and living life that they don't want to.
Exactly, exactly. So a lot of what we're doing is bringing that education to people so they know not to ride them. But we are also, with that, trying to help people to understand there are other issues involving elephants in India as well. And we do two things. We do more than just the education. We are actually out there rescuing elephants that are really badly treated. So we have a sanctuary in India where we bring elephants that go for lifetime care, and we take them through the full rehabilitation process. So these are elephants that could have been living in chains for, I think one elephant we rescued, he was about 60 to 70 years old, had spent his whole life in chains, and we brought him to our center, and he lived for a few years before he passed, but he had a few really, really wonderful years before that happened. But all of our elephants come with a story, and to date we've rescued over 50 elephants.
Oh, that is wonderful. 50 elephants.
Yes, over 50 elephants. And our plan
Wow.
is to rescue between 50 and 100 more. in the next few years, because what we're trying to do is we're trying to bring an end to begging elephants in India.
Because I mean, this is worldwide here. So you get it's not no walk in the park, to get them all rescued, but we can't get guys can't give up and keep the hard work and inspiring work you're doing. It means so much.
Right, right. Well, for elephants too, in India, there's about 2,700 elephants. And I know this because the government actually did a census of how many elephants were in captivity. So there's just under 3,000 elephants that are being held in captivity. And out of those, you have some of them that are used in temples. You have some that are used in government camps. And you have some that are being used as begging elephants. And those are the elephants that we're right now focused on rescuing. And if we are able to meet our goal is to have all the begging elephants in India rescued by 2030. So we're 1 year into this campaign. We've got 4 more years to go, and we've already seen a reduction of like 10 to 20% of begging elephants in India.
Wow, 20%. That's good news.
Yes, it's progress. It's progress. It's always,
You got that right.
yeah, it's heartbreaking to see what a lot of these elephants go through. But when you can show that we can make progress with education and resources to actually help the elephants on the streets, it really makes people feel like a little bit of a sense of strength that we can unite and make this kind of change.
Yes, and that's what it takes. In order to see change, we got to take action.
We have to take action. So anyways, we are working with elephants, but our original program, I don't know if your listeners are interested in bears. I mean, you have the name Mama Bear, so I'm sure you've got several people who are interested in bears. But we originally started with a program to help all of the dancing bears in India. And this program got started in the year 2000. And the ultimate goal was to have all the dancing bears rescued in 10 years. And that was hundreds and hundreds of bears that were being used for dancing on the streets. And the campaign launched, and let me tell you, December 19th, 2009, the last of the dancing bears was rescued in India. And a lot had to happen to make that goal a reality. But it really, I feel like shows a path and a way and a model that shows that real progress can be made if we actually have like a real plan, the resources, and the will to make it happen.
That's right, making it happen.
Making it happen. Yeah. So with that, the bears. Have you ever heard of a sloth bear before?
Very little.
Very little. Yes. So there are 8 species of bears, and the bear species that was being used for dancing are called sloth bears. And we have several centers now that take care of all the bears that were rescued from the streets. And we originally at one time had over 600 bears, but over time those bears have been passing away. And because we don't have that big problem like we did when we first started, we are seeing that bears are actually doing better in the wild because they are not being caught and then turned into dancing bears. So it's one of these campaigns that I feel like is one of the best success stories, like wildlife success stories that we can point to, because the people who were dancing the bears, they were people who were living in poverty. They were people who had just generations of tradition that did this. So if you really give people an opportunity to have a very different vocation and a new income that can put them in a better place in their lives, you can show people a way in a direction that doesn't involve exploiting animals.
Right, and just let them live freely.
Yes, just let them live freely.
Freedom and peace.
Yes,
Comfort.
yes, yeah, and that's ultimately what we want to see is these bears, just like the elephants, were coming from the wild. People would go into into the caves where they lived as where they live as babies for the first several months of their life, and they would take the babies from the caves, and then they would then be turned into these dancing bears. So if there's no longer a need for people there's no longer a market where there's not a demand for these bears, you can see that this program would be successful. And now children who are born to the community who used to dance bears know of no life that involves dancing bears, and they have dreams just like everybody else. They want to go to school, they want to become business owners, they want to maybe become teachers. And so we continue to help this particular program to make sure it doesn't go back to a problem where we have a dancing bear problem in India, by working with the community so that they are helping to keep people from returning to that life.
That's right. Leave them alone and let them, they don't deserve that kind of lifestyle.
No animal deserves that kind of life. And so that's basically how I got involved, was originally working with this particular program to help the bears. And then it has evolved, because that program was so successful, to work with other species in India, including leopards and elephants.
Leopards and elephants.
Yes, leopards and elephants. And actually, most people squirm when I talk about this, but we do a lot with snakes as well. But people often don't realize, the kinds of things that happen with snakes when you think of snake charming. That is actually a very, very cruel activity, where people take a snake and they cut out their fangs, and people think, oh, the snake charmer is really, very brave person who will, get very close to a cobra. But those animals have had their fangs, they've been defanged, so they're no longer dangerous. And then those animals slowly die because they can't eat.
Whoa. That's sad.
Yeah, it's very sad. It's very upsetting. But we try to empower people, to make people feel like we just don't have to be sad, we can actually take action.
That's right. Don't just sit there and just do something.
Do something, yeah. Make your voices heard.
Because it's so very important.
Yes.
From every angle.
Yes, from every angle. So, do you have any questions about some of the stuff we're doing in India?
Yeah, if you want to go ahead and let the audience.
Sure.
And as much information as you can, or how they can maybe even help out, donate, because nothing's ever free out there, and every donation counts, and it's heartfelt and meaningful.
Yes, it is. So does anybody have any questions for me?
Yeah, we're in the chat room. If anybody wants to ask any questions through the chat room, you're more welcome, and I'll get it to her. Or if you would like to speak on air, and just alert me on there also.
Hi, Nikki. My name is Lisa. How are you?
I'm very good. Thank you. What question can I answer for you?
What do they do with begging elephants?
I get that question a lot. So with a begging elephant, they're basically hired for day jobs. So for instance, someone will hire an elephant to go to a wedding and be used in a wedding procession. Sometimes a begging elephant will just be used for, like it sounds, begging, like someone will come and they'll ask for a blessing from the elephant, and they'll pay for a blessing from that elephant. Because in India, a lot of people see elephants as gods. So getting an elephant to bless them is very meaningful.
Okay, so if they look at elephants as gods, why would they treat them so badly? That doesn't make any sense.
I think people often get confused because they see that these elephants are a lot of times decorated, and they make the assumption that because they are dressed in silks and a lot of times they have paintings on them, that means that they are cherished. But that is just so far from the reality. And I just think that because what we do see is there's such a desire to have a connection with the elephants that people often just do not see with their eyes what's really happening to the elephants.
Ugh, that's horrible.
Yeah. Yeah. But we are trying to change that, and we are trying to bring the awareness of what these elephants are going through. And once people start understanding it more on a larger scale, we are seeing that people are turning away from the things that really imprison them in these horrible lives.
That's it. I mean, we can't give up. Their futures is in our hands from now on. We can't do nothing about
Absolutely. 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 Has anybody who is listening been to India to see any of these elephants?
No, I haven't.
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay. Okay. So when you go, you just know that you don't ride an elephant. And if you see an elephant in the street, you don't pay to get a blessing or to feed the elephant. And I think this is one thing that I'm trying to help educate people about is sadly, a lot of places have learned the language that we use that people are often looking for in terms of finding a place that's ethical to have an ethical elephant experience. So places that are unethical are using terms like these elephants are rescued. So then people think, oh, this elephant came from a bad life. So if I go to this place, I'm helping a rescued elephant. And that isn't the case. Or they'll be saying things like, this is ecotourism with the elephant. So people are often looking for that phrase, ecotourism, and they think that they're making the right ethical choice by choosing this company. But if you see this elephant is being used for riding, people are bathing the elephant or drawing on the elephant, or people see that the elephant is painting. I mean, these are all things that should be red flags to people wherever they go, whether it's India or other places in Asia.
India or Asia.
Yeah, India or Asia.
Yeah, but I always love seeing the elephants living out in the wild. And with their family.
Yes, yes, yes.
You know?
And that is a natural life for especially the female elephants. The males tend to be more solitary, but what is natural for a female elephant is to spend their life with their mothers, their sisters, their aunts, because those herds really can be 20, 30 or more elephants, and a lot of them are all related to one another. And so when they are taken from that and put in captivity, a lot of these elephants are living in isolation. So it's more than just the physical pain of being kept in chains or being beaten. They're also tortured in the fact that they are kept alone and isolated from other elephants. So this is like one of the big things that I like that we can do as an organization is when we rescue elephants, we bring them to our sanctuary, and at the sanctuary, they have opportunities to meet other elephants and to form bonds and friendships that they've been deprived of for most of their lives.
Torture, that's sickening. I can't even imagine how it's terrible.
Oh, yes, it's I don't want to, upset your listeners, but what happens to them is just unthinkable. But it doesn't have to be that way, and we do want to see these elephants living in the wild. So the more we can get the word out that do not go and ride elephants. If you have an opportunity to see elephants, really elect to see them in the wild, or seek out sanctuaries like the ones we have where they truly are rescued. But if you go to a true sanctuary, you're not going to be allowed to go and bathe them and feed them and have any of those really close encounters, because we really want them to revert as much back to being their natural selves as possible. So we do not allow any of that hands-on with the elephants.
Yeah, and they're gentle giants. Aren't they? I mean, they're so awesome.
Yeah, yes, but they're also wild animals, and they can be very dangerous, and they can be very deadly. And the thing is a lot of these elephants have been so mistreated that they are suspicious of people. So a lot of people are killed in the tourism industry because these elephants do lash out when they do have an opportunity to show some independence. So yes, I try to reaffirm that that they're beautiful, magnificent animals, but they are wild and they should be treated as such, which means they don't really want people going up and hugging them. They sort of want to be just left alone with their herd.
Right, exactly. I mean, why? Why would you need to hug them?
I know, yeah.
That's not necessary. Leave them alone and let them
Yeah.
live in peace and freedom.
Right, and that's the key here is people who can walk up to an elephant and hug them, that elephant has been mistreated. Guaranteed, especially in India, its whole life, to be able to take that kind of action with an elephant. So like I said at the very beginning, there is this process called breaking the spirit, and that's what all the elephants go through. And it can take weeks before their spirit is completely broken. But after that, a toddler can lead an elephant wherever it wants to go because it will not resist.
And when they come, that close to them, they're putting herself in harm's way, and they should know that.
Yeah.
It's not easy.
Yes. Well, elephants. And elephants that we take. I mean, we spend a lot of time just trying to build trust with the elephants when we rescued them because they haven't been treated well by people. So although a lot of times they have a sense that something's different and something's new when we come and we take them to our center, we really want them to understand that they have freedoms that they never had before. So that freedom includes that they don't want to do something, they don't have to do it. So if they don't want to get that foot treatment, they don't have to get that foot treatment. So teaching them that they have the ability to make choices is a huge part about building the trust with the elephants. So it can take years to build that trust, but it's a lifelong process that we work on.
It's never easy. It never happens overnight.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. But one of my favorite stories of an elephant we rescued, it's one I think about frequently. It was a male elephant. He had one ear. He had been living in a temple for 40 to 50 years. So he never moved from that temple. He was chained on his front leg, chained on his back leg, and the only movement he could make was by shaking his head side to side, and they call that stereotypic behavior. And he did that every single day, and we finally got him out of that situation. Now, when we brought him to our sanctuary, he was not used to being out in nature. He wasn't used to seeing, a mile in the distance. He wasn't used to being able to see all sorts of other animals, and it scared him. So one of the things we had to do is our team built a screen around him so that he could get used to this idea of space over time. So you could gradually increase that screen area and open up areas a little bit at a time so he could get used to seeing trees and nature. And the first time I saw him, he was surrounded by this screen. But then 6 months later, I was back in India and I saw him, and he was a completely different elephant. He was out for a walk. He was probably walking at least 10 kilometers, and he was enjoying himself completely on this whole walk. He wasn't afraid of anybody or anything. And it just really was delightful to see that this elephant had learned to trust, and he learned to be a happy, free elephant. And so to me, it's this power of forgiveness, too, after what has happened to him, that he had the power to forgive.
Oh, yeah. And and what's going on, the power to forgive, it means a lot.
The power to forgive means a lot. Yes, it does. And he did forgive. We always hear that elephants never forget, and that might be true, but he did forgive. So, but it took a lot of trust building with him to get him to that point.
Oh yeah, it's never easy.
No, it's never easy.
Every angle.
No, it's never easy, but I do think it's just so worthwhile, though. I mean, there isn't anything more worthwhile than helping an elephant that has spent its whole life, maybe some cases half a century in chains, and getting them out of that situation.
And it took a lot of help too.
Yes,
Effort.
yes. So does anybody else have any questions?
I have a question.
Yes.
Yes, this is Harry Lynn. Hi, Nikki.
Hi.
And I'm familiar with phajaan, thanks to Dr. Sahara Hieronymus, whose book I've read, Spirit Animals.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not promoting, just what I've read.
Mm-hmm.
And what Lisa's talking about is there is a documentary by Sangeeta Iyer, Gods and Shackles.
Yes, I'm familiar with that.
Lisa,
yeah,
Lisa, if she could watch that would give her more info as to what she's looking for, as why are the animals being mistreated in India. Because I'll give a hint though, in India it wasn't like that before. And not to offend Westerners, but pre-colonization, elephants were treated with respect. All creatures were treated with respect. Pretty much all animals, that is, particularly. So not to offend, but that's just what I've researched and what Sangeeta pointed out in her documentary.
Well, I do think that, like in the situation where we talked about earlier about the bears, right? So the dancing bear situation had been going on for hundreds of years. So what they do with the bears is they pierce the muzzle, and then that pain from piercing the muzzle and pulling on the ropes causes the bear to stand on their hind legs and move from side to side, and they call that a dancing bear. And that's something that has gone on pre-colonization. It was something that had moved its way across India and down into the southern parts of India. And it's basically a nomadic group called the calendar people who were doing that. But one of the challenges was, I mean, this is not something that came recently, but I would say one of the big differences is it used to only be done for entertaining the Mughal emperors, and it had evolved to something that was being used for entertaining tourists. So it probably became a lot more widespread, and I think that is probably the biggest difference. And what's hard is with trying to bring an end to this, if whole generations of people have only known how to dance bears, how do you then take them out of that world? And that was the hard piece of it, is like you have to give them something else, another way to earn an income. And that is the big key here, is finding other things for them to do. Now with the elephants, now the people who own the elephants are very, very wealthy for the most part. Not all of them, but it's the people who care for the elephants who are pretty poor, the mahouts. So
yes.
So this is kind of the difficult dynamic here between the mahouts and the owners. And I feel like it might be different, the similarity like between people who own racehorses and the stable boys who take care of them here. They are not the rich people. They are not the wealthy ones. So you have the people who have no money caring for the elephants, and they're a lot of times uneducated. They don't know what they're doing, and they use brutal force. And so to your point, it's likely that when elephants were used historically, they were not used in such a horrific manner. They weren't standing on concrete. They weren't standing in cities and being hit by trucks, which is kind of a new phenomenon. And now this is one of the problems, is they are being kept in urban environments, and they are stepping on nails or stepping on glass. Their feet are getting infected. Their feet are getting burnt. All of this stuff is happening, and this is not something 100 years ago, that would have been something that they were having to deal with if they were in captivity. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah,
Right.
I'm still learning here. So I'm just saying that my last comment was not to be taken out of context.
Right. No. No, absolutely. No, this is, and this is always really great to have these kinds of conversations so that we can clarify and explore really what's been going on. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I want to clarify with the snake, what do you call it, the snake charmers, though. So behind the scenes, they're not friendly, are they? Or are they?
Who are you talking about, the snakes themselves or the people, the snake charmers? So one thing our organization has done is similar to like with the dancing bears, you have to find something else for them to do. So the people who've been snake charmers, a lot of them, their fathers, their grandfathers, this is what they've learned in terms of you go out, you get a snake, and then you sit somewhere with that snake, and then you try to get money for that snake to perform and entertain. Now, what we've luckily been able to do is to get a lot of them to change professions as well, but in a way that uses their skills in a positive way, because these people know how to handle snakes. But what happens in places like Delhi is you get lots of snakes in people's apartments and homes and their cars because the monsoons come in and these reptiles come into the city. So we have a program that's a 24-hour hotline that if you have a situation where you find a reptile in your house, we'll send someone in there to help rescue that animal and bring it to a forest and re-release them where they belong. And the people who are doing that are people who used to be snake charmers. A lot of them are. So it's a way to use a skill set that's very, very useful, but in a way that helps people and helps the animals.
So they're not all violent towards the snakes, to clarify, just to...
Well, when they're acting as a snake charmer, yes, they are defanging, sometimes stitching their mouths shut. I mean, what they're doing will kill the snake, right? And so
they don't show that part.
No, of course, because people think that, I mean, part of the entertainment is that people think, oh, these people are brave, you know, they're so close to the snake that could strike them and they could get the venom and the venom can kill you. So they think, oh, this performance is one that shows how well they are able to mesmerize the snakes. Now, snakes can't hear, so they're sitting there playing a flute like they're hearing, but they're not hearing. They're just like moving with the pipes. So that's just one of those misconceptions. But luckily, if you go to India now, like when I first started going, I would see outside of places like the Taj Mahal, I would see snake charmers, but you don't see that anymore. So it's becoming more and more rare to see that. It's not like it's completely ended, but it is something that the government has been trying to take action with, and we've been doing our part to utilize the skill set that these people have to, like I said, to use them in a way that actually benefits the snakes and benefits people.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, those are the questions I have for now. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for your questions.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Harold, so much. And Misa, and does anybody else have any questions? Or comments? And thank you all for joining us.
Well, I would just like to say that if anybody would like to ever come to India, we do have visitor and volunteer programs, so you can come and you won't be actually working with the animals, but you will be able to do things that help the animals there. Like, for instance, with the sloth bears, if you look at our YouTube channel, you'll find a lot of great videos of the bears just lounging around in these hammocks. and they are so much fun to watch. But it's a lot of our visitors and volunteers that will come and build these fun hammocks and jungle gyms for them. So that's just like one example of an activity that volunteers do to help improve the lives of our bears. And the other thing is, like with the elephants, people often come and they help with like chopping fruit and getting their food ready. So once again, you're not actually feeding the elephants, but you are there to help like with the care of the elephants, but in ways that are not hands-on.
Yep, this is so very, very informative show, educational. You know, a lot of stuff that we don't know what's going on.
Right, 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 right. Well, and India is a fascinating country in just many ways, because I do find when I go there, I'm impressed by I have to say the value, although we're talking here about some of the cruelties that are happening, there is so much on the other side that represents, I feel like, some leadership in helping animals. Like all hunting is banned in India. So, for instance, I often see in places like in Africa where people are dealing with poverty, and they open up opportunities for people to pay to go kill an elephant or pay to go kill a lion. And you could never go to India and shoot and kill an elephant. You can never go there and kill a tiger. So these are some of the things that I'm very impressed in terms of some of the wildlife laws that are happening there that are really, I feel like, some of the best in the world. Sometimes the enforcement is not there, but I do feel like it reflects an attitude of valuing these animals. And also, just to, always finish, I feel like when we're talking on a positive note, I want people to know that, for instance, tigers, which are very dangerous animals, they are increasing in numbers throughout India because they take a lot of pride in having the largest number of tigers, and they've been increasing the number of parks for tigers. And people seem to be pretty proud and tolerant of having more. You're going to have more human tiger encounters, which can lead to conflict. But I'm really just thrilled whenever I see the census come out that shows the numbers are increasing. And it's not just tigers. We're seeing that with rhinos. We're seeing that with Asiatic lions. So there's a lot to really feel optimistic about when we're looking at some of the stuff that's happening in India. So I do feel there are a lot of issues that we are trying to address, but I do feel like we can have a lot of success with them because I do feel like the values are there to appreciate and want to make change. And so I do think that we're not like up against just like a force that will never relent. I do think with the education and a few more resources to bring about change, I do see really great change happening in India.
And that's positive thinking and efforts and for positive results.
Yes, and that's all we have to focus on is like where is there progress and where can we build off that progress, because there is a lot of progress in India, and I do think there's a lot of opportunities to build off of it. And so that is my big takeaway. There is a lot of suffering for captive elephants, but they did ban elephants in circuses. So that was within the last 10, 12 years. So I do see continuing change happening, which gives me more energy to continue to fight to help.
That's right. We're in it to win it.
Yes, in it to win it.
Because we're the animals' only hope. Get them out of harm's way, better lives and futures.
Yes. Do any of your listeners work or volunteer in animal welfare?
Yes, I know a lot of them do. There's a super team going on out there, the volunteer help out, and having all these shows, they have come together and help out as much as they can.
Right,
and it's
right.
valuable time. Yes,
Right, right. Well, and I think that's the key is to look at what we can do in our own communities. And that's where I started too. I was helping dog shelters and helping to get animals homes in my own community. So with that, I started and then got more connected with people in other areas. So I do think that there's so much power in what we do in our own backyards.
that's right. Power in numbers.
Power in numbers. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The more of us that work together, the faster the changes, and the stronger we become.
Yes.
That's right.
Yes. Yes. Does anybody else have any questions about India or animals and wildlife in India? Although I work specifically with Wildlife SOS, we do have a sister organization called Frondicosika that works to help street dogs and equines and cats as well. And that program, I feel like, has really done a lot to bring about change within the cities. And I do see a very strong animal birth control program that happens out there. Their ABC program. I think they're doing close to 100,000 spays and neuters in Delhi every year. And these are all free surgeries. So once again, the government is supporting a lot of this because they don't have shelters, or at least they hadn't had shelters for the longest time. And so managing the population was all being done humanely for many decades with animal birth control. And I've been very impressed to see the progress that's been made with these efforts. And also they've got this ambulance as well that goes around and picks up animals that are injured or hurt from cars that might have hit them. And where can you say that you see that? I don't see places like that where I live. So the fact that there are a lot of resources being put to help injured animals, no matter what time of day it is or where they are in the Delhi area, there's somebody out there who's going to go help.
Oh yeah, that's the humanity. Doing your part, putting a little love in your heart and do your part.
Right,
Every
right.
effort counts out there.
Right, right, right. Well, and that's the same thing with the equines. Is I think when I say equines, I'm talking about donkeys and the horses. But there's a lot to help those animals as well. We have like different, our sister organization has places where people can go to get their equines cared for, their watering stations. Now there's a lot that needs to happen to, once again, to get the welfare for these animals improved. But there's definitely an effort happening right now that is making lives so much better for these animals.
Oh yeah, they so well deserve better lives and futures.
Better lives and futures, yeah.
Yeah. We have to keep it up. That's what it takes. Don't give
I
up.
have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's Lisa. Can any of the elephants that were in captivity go back out to the wild, or they never?
So that's a really great question, and because all of the elephants we have come to us with so many serious medical issues, none of them could ever be re-released. So when they come to us, they are coming for lifetime medical care. So it would be inhumane to attempt to re-release them into the wild, but it is painful to think that once they've been taken from the wild, they could never go back. And that's the case with the bears as well, because when the bears that were rescued as dancing bears came to us, a lot of them had all their teeth smashed out, and they had infections in their muzzles, so they could never really survive out in the wild. But it's all we can do, though, to create as much as we can, as much a natural life for them, although it's in captivity.
Right. I did my veterinary internship with seals and sea turtles.
Oh, wow, that's fascinating. Yes.
And we could not speak when we were near the seals,
Mm-hmm.
because we didn't want them to get accustomed to human beings.
Right. And there's I'm sure most of you guys have heard of an organization in Africa that rescues orphaned baby elephants. And they have a whole program to work to get them to be reintroduced into the wild when they're a little bit older. And they have a whole system by which they do that. But our situation is so different. Our elephants are not coming to us as babies. They're coming to us usually as geriatric elephants. And they are just needing daily care. They need pain medication. And as a veterinarian, you probably can relate to, like, you know, sometimes like managing all of their medical issues requires a lot of intervention. So hopefully over time they need less and less, but I don't think we have one elephant in our care right now out of over the 50 that we've rescued that doesn't need some kind of foot care on a regular basis or pain management. And we've just started actually learning more about acupuncture. And we've been starting to control some of the pain and arthritis and issues like that our elephants suffer with utilizing acupuncture, and even colitis or some of the issues with their GI tracts. And so I've been very, very impressed with some of the progress that I've seen in the different kind of areas using the acupuncture with the elephants. And probably one of the most remarkable ones is, although I said we don't rescue babies, there was one baby we brought to our center. Her name was Bonnie, and she was hit by a train. So she was a wild elephant, yes. She was 1 year old, about maybe even 9 months old. But she was hit by a train. Her mother was also hit by a train, and her mother was killed. But when she was hit by the train, she ended up paralyzed. And they didn't know what to do with her. And like in just a second, she lost her herd, her mother, and the use of her legs. So they brought her to us, and we worked with her, massaging her, doing ultrasound. And she started to gain like her spirit back, but she still was not using her hind legs. And because even though she was only a baby, we couldn't put her into like any sort of CT scan. So we were only somewhat knowledgeable about what happened. We weren't sure if she had a severed spinal cord. We didn't have any of that information. Her tail wasn't moving, and so we were really worried she had a severed spinal cord. She was having trouble controlling her bowel and bladder. And but one day after a couple of weeks, she started to move her tail, and we're like, oh my gosh, it was the best sign ever that this elephant might make some kind of recovery. And we brought in a acupuncture specialist from Thailand, because nobody in India knew how to do anything like this with veterinary medicine. And for a week, she worked with our team. And by the time she left, Bonnie was standing. And yes, and if you go to our videos today, you'll see that we have all these videos of her. She's now 2.5 years with us. And she has a little bit of a limp, but this elephant went from completely flaccid to an elephant that is able to walk around, a little bit of a limp. And we've always been worried, like, okay, as she continues to grow, what is she going to be able to do with those legs? Will her legs be able to handle the weight? And so far, as she grows, her strength increases as well. So she's really one of these incredible stories that sometimes I have to like shake my head and go, wow, like feels like a miracle. Like this elephant that couldn't move is now all of a sudden walking. So just so proud of what our team has been able to do. And it takes dedication by vets, right? Veterinarians who just don't want to give up. And our caregivers who slept with the baby elephant, she never was alone. And it's more than just the physical. It's like giving her the power to feel like she could do it, and giving her the feeling that she wanted to work through it, that she wasn't wanting to give up. And I feel like it's one of those stories that I feel very, very proud to have played a small role in her recovery. but also gives me a lot of excitement about teaching our veterinarians acupuncture and getting them certified so that there are other elephants that we can help using like non-Western medicine, right? So
That's wonderful. I
yeah.
had a smile on my face as you went.
Yeah, well, I almost always like cry when I tell this story just because I remember how I felt when I saw the first videos and pictures of her. She just looked like, we talked about phajaan and the breaking the spirit. This poor elephant looked like she had nothing left to live for. And to see her now and to see that she's mischievous and she's a rascal and she just plays in the mud and she just, she really does love her life. And I just feel so incredibly, I've learned so much from working with these animals. And I just feel really, really thrilled to be playing such a small part in making their lives better. And to be able to speak to you guys today and to talk a little bit about what's going on in India and to share my stories and to know that I'm talking to people who really, really do care about them and also want to see the best for them.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh. I don't have any words. I just have a big smile.
Hey, we have to bring smiles to everything. That's our goals.
Yes.
Bring the negative into the positive.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yes.
I know here in Massachusetts, we as a population passed a law that we can't have circuses that have elephants, cats, primates, bears.
Oh, uh-huh.
We can't have them here in Massachusetts. The voters, we all voted that we didn't want that here.
That's wonderful. I had heard about the elephants, but I did not realize that the list included all these other species you just mentioned. So I've learned something new today. That's fantastic. Was Massachusetts the first state to do that?
I think so. I'm not positive.
We were in Boston about a year and a half ago, and I met some of the people with Massachusetts for Elephants, I think was the group. And was really, really impressed by the work they were doing to help utilizing legislation to improve the lives of elephants and the education that they were doing. So really some great work going on in your state.
Yes, we're very animal friendly.
Well, and you just, it starts with one and then others follow. So probably others will follow your lead.
I just looked it up. New Jersey was the first state in the United States to ban the use of wild and exotic animals in 2018.
Oh, okay, New Jersey. And then Massachusetts, when did you get your law passed?
I think it was just last year.
Last year, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, it's all these, like, it can start small, like countywide, right? I mean, that's what I understand happened with a lot of these circuses is they couldn't go into a lot of these different counties, and it made it very difficult for them to have a successful business when they were banned from so many areas. So start small if you can't go statewide, and then things get bigger and bigger. So.
Right.
Really, really, really great work. I'm so glad to hear about Massachusetts.
Thank you. Well, Hawaii, California, Colorado, and Maryland, along with New Jersey and us in Mass, we banned it all. We set the precedent for it. So
that's wonderful. That's wonderful.
It's getting there.
It's getting there. Yep. Yep. Education, because I don't think when people hear about what's going on, they're pretty horrified, and they'll take action. So, and that's the big thing about the riding elephants in India, as I told you, like when I talk to people about working with elephants in India, almost without fail, the first response I'll get is like, "Oh my gosh, I love elephants. I so want to ride one." It's just an opportunity to be like, well, if you love elephants, you don't want to ride one, and this is why. And then by the time you do your explanation, they're like, okay, yeah, where do I sign a pledge that I'll never ride an elephant? So
Right.
yeah, yeah. So it just takes that extra step. And I think maybe you guys have all heard of Jane Goodall's theory that I think about all the time. And she used to say, if people don't know, how can they care? And if they're not going to take action unless they care. So we have to take people through those steps. First, we have to educate them. Then we have to get them to care. And then that third step is to take action. So we got to think about those steps, and we can't expect people to jump into taking action until they understand what's going on first. So I think she always had the grace to explain things so simply, beautifully, and succinctly. Yeah,
Yes. Yes.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And ladies, I'm going to go ahead and close it down early this evening. Um, but I want to thank you so much, Nikki Sharp, and looking forward to having you come back again.
Well, thank you for having me as a guest. It was absolutely wonderful to spend the last hour with all of you.
Yeah, it's such an honor and pleasure. Can't wait to have you back on. This was wonderful. And a big shout out to media specialist Casey Beeman, is it?
Yes, yes, Casey. Uh-huh.
And thank you, Casey, for this connection. This is wonderful. Yep. I thought I was going to give her a shout out. So, but next week, everyone, we're going to have Dr. Pam Osinski. I got to pronounce this right. Osinkowski, and she is from the National. We're going to be talking about animal testing, okay? National Anti-Vivisection Society. So we're going to welcome her on board because I know I'm against animal testing all 100%. 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Central, 5 o'clock Mountain, and 4 o'clock Pacific. And I hope you all join us. And thank you for all tuning in. This is just wonderful.
Thank you,
And thank
Debbie.
you, Nikki. And like I said, I can't thank you enough
Thank
for
you,
coming
Debbie.
on air. And Carolyn and Lisa and Michelle, all of you in the chat room. Really,
Thank you, Debbie.
yes, you're so welcome. But I hope
Great
you all
show.
join us next week. Okay? And always remember, it takes teamwork all the way to see the positive results. So hope you join us next week and keep coming because I got great shows all lined up as usual. Great guests. Can't thank them enough and the callers.
Thank you.
But yes,
Thank you, Nikki.
Thank you all. And come visit us in India sometime, okay?
hey, that sounds good. Stay in touch, okay?
Okay. All right. Wonderful.
And yes.